Hey guys, Magic Master here. Today I'm going to be doing a trick for you that actually fooled Teller on Penn & Teller Fool Us a while back. Not sure why, as it is kind of a simple trick in concept, but it is a pretty fun trick, so we're going to be doing it today. Now, this trick is geared towards 2 spectators, and it uses 2 decks, so this performance is going to have to be heavily improvised, but I do want to do a performance for you guys as well as a tutorial, so I'm just going to try the best I can. Now, the second deck used by me in the trick it doesn't necessarily play too big of a role. It's basically just me showing the spectator what to do, so I'm just going to use one deck for the most part in the trick performance here, except for a little part at the end. So let's get into it. So the spectator could start by picking which deck they want to use. Let's just say they wanted to use this one here. And they could give the deck a shuffle, and I would be shuffling mine as well. So then what I would have them do is deal a small pile of face-up cards onto the table and just stop wherever they like. Let's say they stopped right there. So then I would have them take the next 2 cards off the deck, set them off to the side. And then I would have them take this card and set it back on the deck, which is a representation of what we're going to be doing with these 2 cards here. Now, this first card would be the second spectator's card that is not handling the deck, but I don't have a spectator for this, so I'm just going to look at it, which I normally wouldn't during the trick. So that spectator has the 9 of diamonds for their card, and I'm going to write that down. 9 of diamonds. So that was the second spectator's card, and it would go on the deck. This next card would be my card, and everybody could take a look at this in the trick. I've got the 8 of diamonds. And my card goes on the deck as well. Then this pile of face-up cards stays face-up and goes on the deck. Now, the spectator handling the deck needs a card. So I would instruct them to cut very deep on the deck and flip the entire thing over, spread through until they get to the first face-down card. All the face-up cards they can just set off to the side. And this card would be their card. Sorry, these cards are kind of slippery, they're new. Anyways, this card would be their card. Again, I wouldn't look at it, but I kind of have to for the performance here. So they've got the Jack of Clubs. All right. So then they could go ahead and shuffle their card into this little packet here. And this pile would get turned back face down and set on the deck. And I'd say, all right, now all the magic is pretty much done. My card was the 8 of diamonds, the second one I wrote down there, and we would find the 8 of diamonds. Second spectator's card, I would ask them what it is. They would say the 9 of diamonds, and there it is. Now this next card, I wouldn't want the spectator to look at it, but they would take it off the deck and sandwich it in their hands. Now, I'd take my deck and say, without ever even looking at your card, the Jack of Clubs, which I wouldn't have normally during the trick, I believe I should just be able to go through my deck and pull it out. Then I would say, now I'm not quite sure, but I suppose you're going to have to tell me whether or not I'm right. So, was your card the 6 of clubs? No. Okay. Well, if I just shake it, it should change into your card, the Jack of Clubs. But we just had the Six of Clubs, remember? What's the card you're holding in your hand? The Six of Clubs. Alright guys, that was the heavily improvised performance, and let's get right into the tutorial. Wow, these cards are slippery. Okay, so in concept, this trick is basically an elaborate, not sure what to call the force, but I'm just going to call it the double flip force because I don't actually know the name. But it's basically the force where you cut off a small portion of cards, flip it over, cut deeper, flip the entire thing over, and you've ended back up with the top card as the first face down card. I'm just calling it the double flip force. I don't know what the actual name is. It's basically an elaborate version of that. So your deck does not play a super important role until the end. All the magician is doing with their deck, in this case you guys, when you're performing the trick, you're just showing the spectator what they need to do with their deck until the very end. We'll get to that later. So you're showing what they have to do, and spectator can start by shuffling their deck, and you can shuffle yours as well. Now, you would instruct them to start by dealing a small packet of face-up cards on the table. As they're dealing this packet, you need to memorize the first card they deal and the last card they deal. So, they deal, you have to memorize the 10 of diamonds. For tutorial purposes, I'm just going to write it down, but this would be in your head. You would memorize the 10 of diamonds, and they keep dealing, and let's say they stopped right here. You would also have to memorize the ace of spades. I'm not trying to be artistic or anything, I'm just getting it down on paper. So you have two cards memorized right now, the 10 of diamonds and the ace of spades, which is the first and last card they dealt. The next two cards, you tell them to take off the deck, leave face down, set them off to the side. Again, you'd be showing them this with your own deck. Then what they do is take the last card they dealt, set it back on the deck. Now, this seems a little strange, so you can kind of blow it off by saying that's just a representation of what we're going to be doing with these cards here. But you wanted to get that card back on the deck, and you'll see where it comes into play later. So this first card is going to be the second spectator's card, the one that is not handling the deck. If it was the card of the spectator that is handling the deck, they might see it later on. So it's important that this is the card of the spectator that is not handling the deck. So they go ahead and memorize it. Only them. They've got the ace of hearts. Okay, so then their card goes on the deck. And then this would be your card. This would be the magician's card. And all the spectators, as well as yourself, can take a look at this. Now, I would recommend writing your own card down just so you don't have to have 3 cards in your memory. Because you already have the 10 of diamonds and the ace of spades memorized. Just so you don't have to memorize a third card, I would recommend writing it down. So you've got the 2 of hearts. And your card goes back on the deck as well. So now what we have here is a stack with your card on top, then the second spectator's card, and then the ace of spades, which is the second card you memorized. Now, you have the spectator take that packet of face-up cards, leave it face up, and set it on the deck. Now, this is where the double flip force comes into play. For their card, what you're going to have them do is cut really deep, and flip it over. Now a couple things happen here. So after they've done that, as you're spreading through the face-up cards, you can see there's the ace of spades, the ace of hearts, and the two of hearts. Now, they probably won't see that if they're focused on getting through all of the face-up cards to get to the first face-down card. Because you're telling them spread through until you get to the first face-down card. All the face-up cards you can just set off to the side. So since you're telling them to do that, they probably won't see either the two of hearts or the ace of spades. If the second spectator sees their own card, that's fine. They probably won't say anything. So the spectator sets these cards off to the side then. And now what you have done with that flip force is gotten the first card you memorized at the beginning of the trick is now going to be their card. So they go ahead and memorize it, and they're allowed to shuffle it into this packet because you already know what it is. And then this pile of face-up cards gets turned back face down and set on the deck. So now you have a quadruple reveal here. You start with your card, since that is the first card down here. Your card was the two of hearts, and they flip it over, and it's the two of hearts. The next card is going to be the second spectator's card, so you ask them what it is. They say the ace of hearts. There it is. Now this next card, you don't want the spectator to look at it, but they take it off the deck and they sandwich it in their hands. Now this card is the ace of spades. So they go ahead and do that, and you say, all right, without ever even looking at your card, I believe I should be able to go through my own deck and pull it out. So this is where your deck actually comes into play. You want to get out both the ace of spades and the 10 of diamonds. So you know that the first card you memorized is actually their card, and the second card you memorized is the card in their hand right now. So the ace of spades is going to be the one you show first, the card in their hand. And then the 10 of diamonds comes next. So you want to get the ace of spades prepared to be pulled out so you can put it on the bottom or something. And then the 10 of diamonds you want to put at the top of the deck. So then you take the ace of spades and you're like, okay, I'm not quite sure, but was your card the ace of spades? As you're doing that, get a break under the top card and set the ace of spades on the deck, and you can lift it up, being sure not to flash the card below it. And they'll say, no, that wasn't my card. And you'll be like, okay, that's fine. You can do whatever change here you want. I just do the one where you shake it, and as you're shaking it, you take your finger and turn it over. But you can really do whatever card change you want. You show the 10 of diamonds then, which is their card, and then you say, but we just had the ace of spades. What's the card in your hand? And then they reveal the ace of spades from their hand, and basically quadruple reveal, a pretty fun trick. All right, guys, that was the trick. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you next time.